Good Saturday morning, YouTube. So, quite a few things happening on the farmstead. First order of business is we've got to get a new hose because we've sprung a leak up here. And that's the only thing about water and everything, irrigation and animals with hoses is you have to replace these quite often, and they're not cheap. We are eventually planning on running water lines throughout the property to make everything easier, but we're not keen on setting the water lines until everything's in a semi-permanent location. So as I talked about in previous videos, these chickens are not in their permanent spot. They will be moved back here behind the greenhouse right there. My husband's back there on the tractor clearing a spot off. He's been doing that for the past 2 days to get the area prepped for these coops and the netting the best that we can. That'll be an ongoing project even after they get moved out there. Cutting trees down that we don't want, or trees that are severely damaged from pine beetles. We've got a really bad pine beetle issue in our area of Alabama, and a lot of these trees unfortunately have significant damage from pine beetles and from overgrowth over several years. So we've got a lot of rotten pines. We've got a few trees that have just died off and they're rotten, and it's a hazard, especially the kids, they go out there and play. So there's certain areas that we have to watch them when they're out here, so that if it's a windy day, we don't want them under those trees at all. So that's the update on the chickens and where they're going. Just got done watering everybody up here at the top of the hill. That's when I found the issue with the hoses. So for the garden, everything's doing great. The erosion issue obviously has not been fixed. Probably won't ever be fixed until the land settles to what we want it to do. So onions and garlic are doing great. Radishes doing fantastic, considering a few of these places got washed out really bad, but the radishes just kind of moved down the garden, so we didn't lose them. I'm certainly going to harvest them when they're ready. There's nothing wrong with them. Like all these right here, they got washed out, but that's okay. We're still going to eat them. There's nothing going to be wrong, even though they're not in a pretty little row anymore. They're certainly still food. So a couple of days ago, I went ahead and planted our Blue Lake bush beans. We got those from Haas Seeds. There are several items that I would recommend that you buy from those great folks over there. They're a family-owned business. They're based out of Georgia. So up here in the South, it gets hot down here. A lot of the things that they sell are, they're for our climate. They're for our temperature. A few of those things, drought resistant or, heat tolerant plants. Great people. Love their products. Got a few other things I'd love to recommend, but that's for a different video probably. Just different seed companies that I use. The ones that have been most helpful to me. A lot of times if you have questions, you reach out to these companies, they'll get back to you on that. There are companies that I would recommend hand over foot among the rest. They're just, they go beyond and above for their customers. Like I said, different video. However, the other day I thought I broke my pinky. Let me tell you this story. So we were out here, and the plan is this is not going to be the permanent greenhouse. This is temporary. We're going to make a glass greenhouse. That way we don't have to keep using plastic every time we have a lot of damage. It's just wasteful. It's terrible for the environment. We know that. This is just cost effective for us, and it gets the job done in a relatively short amount of time. So I'm making, my pathways. These are not set. This is just like an idea of how I want it. It's all got to be leveled under there, sand put down, spaces filled in, some of this concrete knocked off. But we're using the resources that are on our property that were already here. So we don't have to buy any of this stuff. It's readily available. It's cost effective, keeps the landfills from filling up with stuff like this. And we're not keen on dumping everything over the creek bank like the previous owners did. So we're making this bed right here. I've got it dammed up on one side, you know, in case it rains. We don't want it to wash the soil out. But I made a new strawberry bed yesterday, and these are our babies, literally. Over winter, I only had like 3 surviving strawberry plants from the previous summer. I threw them up right over there on the fence line. Focus. I'll zoom in a little bit. Right there is where we had them. And we thought it would get sufficient sunlight, but we were still learning the land. So as the summer went on, that actually got like no sun. So a few of the strawberry plants died, and the trees that are above the bed that I had blocked the water from, you know, the rainwater from getting down on our strawberry plants. So it killed them, a lot of them off. I had about 10 of them up there and only 3 survived. But the 3 that did survive, luckily, put off these little babies throughout the winter. They had little runners. So, you know, you just cut the runners off and it makes an entirely new plant. So, these are the parent plants. Plant 1, 2, and plant 3. Now, this sucker right here over winter, that one got pretty big. This one wasn't far behind, as you can see. But you know, when you bed your plants down, let me be specific. When you bed your strawberry plants down, you just bury them under straw, and they overwinter really, really well. Especially in my zone, I'm in zone 8A. But this can be done in any zone, really. If you can grow strawberries, you can bed them down like that. This variety is an everbearing. I don't like June bearing because you get strawberries basically a couple of months out of the year and they're done. These produce throughout the whole season. So it's not a bunch of them at one time, but definitely snack worthy, especially after you get a large number of them. Then you can, you know, do what you want. So this whole bed down through here on this side will be strawberries. And the reason we chose to go with a raised bed permanently for strawberries is just because, in my experience and the way I've done it in the past, different methods and things like that, they just did not do well in the ground for us. So we're choosing to do that. And on this side, hopefully soon, we will have my asparagus growing on this side of the greenhouse. So, you know, asparagus, once you get it planted, it takes a full year before you can really harvest it. So even though it grows this year, and it, you know, you may see little shoots at the end of the year that look like, hey, I can eat these. Probably not a good idea. You want to leave those, and you want to bed those plants down until the next year. After the next year comes around, right before the season starts, you cut everything back, and then the new growth that pops up may not be a lot, may not be big plants, big hardy ones, but you can definitely eat those asparagus after that. We're still doing cleanup on junk piles. This right here has got to be scooped up and trash dug through. Things are definitely starting to wash out of the ground. Like, you know, that looks like an old pot bottom for drainage or something. And then we've got new growth popping up, like little pieces of grass here and there, which is wonderful news for us. You know, we really want grass to grow back here. But then the discouraging part about this all is the overgrowth of Chinese privet hedge, or let me come show you. I'm going to get a close-up so you know what I'm talking about. It's an invasive tree species. These things can get absolutely enormous, but they will take over your whole property. You couldn't even walk through this area right here that I'm standing in last year at all. beginning of the year last year, this was all Chinese privet hedge. This is it right here. So everything that we cut down last year and thought we got rid of, no. The roots are keeping it alive. So there is no stump here at all. No previous stump. But you look at that, you can tell it's growing from under the ground from a previous tree that was here in the area, but the roots survived. So even though you get the stump, sometimes you don't get the stump, but even though you've gotten the stump, these suckers will grow out of a root system. See, there's no stump here at all. But you look under there, it's growing from root system. So another thing that makes these really, really invasive is, excuse me, that these produce little berries during the season. And once it drops those berries off of these trees, it's a seed. So this was a privet hedge that we cut right here in the middle of all this. And as you can see, it's growing like this on this side. So that's likely growing from that root system. But on this side, it's all clumped up. On this one side over here, which is where the drainage runs down, this is probably where it dropped the most seeds at. Some of this is probably root growth, but a lot of this is probably seed sprouts. This is another stump that we didn't get up last year. And the hedge is growing directly out of the stump here. So if you have this on your property, yeah, it may be pretty, but it's extremely invasive, and we have been fighting this in the South for years. Just get rid of it. Dig it up, burn it. I would not recommend using poisons or anything on your property because, you know, those forever chemicals, you never get rid of them. But if you can find a natural way to get rid of it, do, because it takes over. I mean, it's all down through our property on this side. It's all over this side, over here. I mean, just the massive undergrowth that is emerging from spring is unreal. But moving along, more plans to discuss. Over here is going to be our new grow out area. This will be permanent. The reason we chose this spot is, number one, it's high ground. It doesn't flood here or anything. So any new birds we have will not be in water at all. And it actually gets a lot of light from our street light right there and from the neighbor's house, so we can see this more clearly. This was previously our chicken and quail area. We got rid of our quail. I'm wanting to get more. Anytime we got quail, it seemed like we had a predator issue and they'd get spooked, break their own necks. So before we get more quail, we're going to redo our quail pens so that that no longer is an issue. But that's the update for now. We'll catch you guys later.